Good morning, friends, and welcome to the webinar on building resilient supply chain through digital transformation. The word resilient has been very popular in some fields, but not in supply chain. Supply chain, it has come up in the last 10 years, I would say. In engineering, those who are from engineering backgrounds, they know this word was used in very common in the good old days. So when we used to do in engineering word, we means if a metal can come back to shape, if I hammer something, can come back to shape, he says a resilient material. It was also in the ecology part when the weather was disturbed, we say, guys, can weather come back? It was also used in the leadership part, organizational leaders, whether they are resilient or not. Some leaders are very strong. Even if the company is going into bad time, they know how to stand up back. Some are weak. They leave the whole ground. So I think those areas, the word resilient was very common. But now it has come into the supply chain field also, more after the COVID-19 hours. I mean, the word was there, but more after COVID-19, the disruptions are enormous. So this word has picked up around. What we expect from this program is how do we maximize the customer value? Because there are too many disruptions all the time. Customer says, guys, I'm not getting in goods right time. The price has gone up. Inflation has gone up. So I'm not getting the right value. The quality is down. So we want to maximize the value. And then also we want to do is gain a competitive advantage. So when we say competitive advantage, there are many companies competing with us. Some are more resilient, some are less resilient. All of us are exposed to the same environment. But those who are less resilient, they close down, they stop productions. Others who are very strong, they survive. So that means you make you more competent. Actually, long back, we developed a psychological test also for the individuals, whether you are a resilient leader or not. Now, we have also developed a similar type, maturity test you could call, for testing the supply chain, whether your supply chain is resilient or not. So we have around 29 questions, sub areas around, under the heading of, you can say, your organization's performance part, strategic performance part. So various areas around we do the assessments, and then based on that, we try to say whether your resilient is 5 out of 5, 4 out of 5. So we do have those tests around. Well, friend, with this, let me start with the subject. What we plan to cover up today is and understand the concept of supply chain. I'll take few slides on understanding supply chain, because there are some people from procurement, some from logistics, and logistic people think supply chain is a logistic. They think it's synonymous. But no, supply chain is much wider than logistics. What is resilient? And why resilient part? Why should I become resilient? I'm surviving is okay, ups and downs come, but should I become resilient or not? The role of digital transformation. I think many of you, Sumit, and already touched on this point also. The digital transformation also looks good, how to do it, but there are risks also. There's no choice. That part we are very clear. There's no choice. We have to transform, but we have to be careful how to do it and when. We'll talk about any change you want to bring in the organization. Even in the country, anywhere you think around change, you create more enemies also. People always find some negative side of the game around. So doing the change management, because when we talk of moving to the resilient world, and we want to have digital transformation to support us, so there are going to be changes. The job profiles are bound to change. You're going to connect everybody end to end. Today, we are in silos. If you look at procurement, you look at logistics, you look at complete supply chain, activities are in silos. Let me take the example of procurement. The guy makes an acquisition in ERP, you make an acquisition. It gets approved and we are very happy it's done. Then I go to the purchase order and make it. But in between these two islands, the island of sourcing is missing. Similarly, I make then I get the invoice, but contract management is missing. So technically, most of you see, I'm confident, 90% of you, you will have three islands, one for acquisition, one for purchase order, one for payments. Contract management is missing, sourcing is missing, spend part is missing. So as a whole, it's not end-to-end connected. When you think of a supply chain as connecting supplier to the customer, there are too many islands. And if you want to connect them, so that means there are going to be risk and there are going to be challenges and there are going to be opportunities also. So that's what we'll touch on. But let me set the context around. Obviously, COVID-19 comes up, so has disrupted the world. But some people think this disruption has brought the opportunities also. Some people are always positive, some will say half glass, some will say no, half full. They say, guys, okay, this has disrupted us, but brought some opportunities, some challenges for us. So in procurement and supply chain, it is also a major change which has happened around. So we're looking at the reliability part now. The above has made us agile and resilient. Agile means if any change happens, if any demand changes happens around, customer behavior is changing. Customer today likes one product and tomorrow says, guys, no, I've got other choices available. So you have to be agile. Resilient means if my demands are changing, sorry, I think you have, Emily has said something, but okay. Now, coming back to agility and transparency, resilience, the top priorities around. So now the priorities are becoming agility and the resilience. Now, if I look from the shifting supply chain perception, in the good old days, our perception was, guys, cut the cost. My management has hired me, guys, how much you have cut the cost? Have you brought some savings? If not, then I'm not a good procurement guy, I'm not a good supply chain guy. But now the focus is coming around, guys. You want to focus on visibility. Can I see end-to-end what changes are happening? Is the material reaching in time? What is going to happen at the tier 2 level, tier 1 level? What is the status of production? What is the quality level? So if we want a visibility, we want sustainability. If any change goes up and down, the demand moves up and down, am I sustainable? Sustainability also I'm looking from greening side, environmental damage side, then digitalizing its activities around. Time to build future-ready supply chain function by digitizing it. So this is what I'm setting the context around. Now, overview of supply chain. If I look around, supply chain is a pivotal component. I remember the time when I went to the US to do my MBA. I'm talking on the beginning of 80s. We had MBAs, but supply chain was only a part of the operation. I was specializing in operation. So operation was the major, supply chain was a part of it. Today, it has changed. Supply chain is end-to-end, operation is a part of it. So to me, it's a backbone of the country's economy. And it won't be wrong if I say the word is a supply chain. The well-structured and efficient supply chain infrastructure helps to what? Minimize manufacturing costs. If I've got a good system end-to-end, it can cut my manufacturing costs, enhances the ease of doing business, boosts my customer experience. I think we all are seeing in the e-commerce now, everybody is looking around, oh, this one gives a better customer experience. So we are looking for that and satisfaction. And also, if a good e-supply chain is there around, then the goods are reaching in time, they're going into the remote areas as well. It improves the market accessibility. And the key pillars of supply chain, if I talk around, are one is the supply chain plan. I know those people in procurement, maybe do our procurement planning, but now we're talking a supply chain plan. That's the one key pillar around. Second pillar is procurement. And the third pillar is supply chain execution. So when we talk of a supply chain execution, so supply chain execution means I'm looking at One, the manufacturing part, in case it is a part of it. Or second could be logistics. And within the logistics, I've got warehousing, inventory management, all those things are there. So they are the key pillars around. So in short, it covers my planning part, it covers procurement part, it covers the logistics, in-house logistics and outside logistics to customer and manufacturing. And manufacturing means I'm talking operation where I convert the materials into the final finished goods or I pack the goods. So they are the key pillars around. So if we look at these objective-wise on a supply chain, mainly is balancing. So you have an upstream and then you have a downstream. Upstream means the supply is coming from raw materials somewhere, from raw material to tier 1, tier 2, and then coming to supplier, and supplier is giving it to the manufacturer. And manufacturer makes the final product and gives to distributor, to retailer and customer. And then customer may be giving to customer. The whole story revolves around balancing supply and demand. If you look in a totality picture, and when I see the particular Indian context around, in the good old days, our problem was supply. If it goes in 70s, 80s, many products, there was shortage. Demand was there, but now we are seeing around, the supply side is also disturbed during COVID-19 because we have only one supplier. And the guy is not able to deliver us. And then on the demand side also, the customer behavior is, it's not that I can see the old data and then increase it. Okay, guys, last year I did so much saying, last year I did those saying, this year I can increase by 10% more. So the demand is also volatile, supply side is also. So both have become very volatile. Another thing which is coming around on the demand side, the products are becoming short cycle. It's not the product which will remain for 10 years or 5 years. Now, every 6 months, new model comes in. So when the new model comes in, the demand also fluctuates. So the demand is becoming very brittle actually. Not only it's a volatile was there, but not becoming more brittle. So this is where the whole supply chain is getting disturbed now. So when the world is becoming, demand is fluctuating, supply is fluctuating, so the old business world will not work, old business model will not work. So technically, I would say there's a paradigm shift in the business world. Let's look at the whole evolution of supply chain. 60s was all fragmented. Then 80s, we came up with the concept of consolidation. The word came, materials management. Procurement was a very small actually. They used to do from the bill of materials how much I need, what I have got to stock, identify and make a plan for production or procurement. So materials management, warehousing, materials handling, packaging, and physical. This went on till between 70s, 80s, I've seen in India. Still some people use the word materials management. Then slowly this went down to integrate everything together. And some people start calling logistics. But now with the help of technologies, information technologies, the word has come around as supply chain management. So procurement is a part of supply chain management, logistics is a part of supply chain management, warehousing, inventory management, the complete end-to-end. So one side I have a customer, one side I have a supplier, it connects end-to-end. To do it, I need a good strategic planning. I need to have a good idea about what is the sales plan around. Then what is going to be based on that? What is my demand planning? Then do have a finance planning. So all of them are being clubbed into this. So now what we are moving around is more into automation. And to do automation, you need the data. And to do data, you need technology. So that's what we're talking about digital transformation. Now, when we say the word resilience now, first thing is, as I said to you, resilience could be defined as the ability of a substance. And this is what we were taught in the 70s in the colleges, in engineering colleges around, oh, this material is more resilient. So if you hit on it, if something happens to it, it comes back to shit. So resilience mean could be defined as the ability of the substance to get back to the original state. Now, this is theoretical definition when I look from the supply chain side. Supply chain is not going to come back to this one. This comes into the new norms around. So COVID-19, what damage happened around. So now we are coming to the new norms around, not the old norms. So it's in short, what we're looking around, its ability of a company to navigate unexpected disruption. So those disruptions are creating disturbance. So those disruptions, can I manage it out? So that's what we're looking around is in this one. In other words, supply chain resilience is the ability to react to these, basically whatever problems are there, I'm able to manage it out without any significant impact on my operation. That's what we do. Let's see the metrics what I use around. Obviously, when I say this company is more resilient, this company is less resilient, the metrics which we look around broadly, time to survive, how long does it take to reopen the business? Is it for a day or two, or can I come back, or do I have to close down for months and months? Time to recover. I think we all have seen in the last 2 years around many businesses closing down, some were surviving. Time to recover. So even if I open back, how does it take for me to recover our backlog? The time to thrive. So the time to thrive, how are we better post-crisis? Are we doing better than that? Are we doing poorer than that? All the things around. Sorry, I'm stopping it. Somebody's asking this question frequently. I can see. Who can see this transcript recording on? Ria, can you answer this? Please, there are many questions.
No worries, sir. It is a system generated, so you can continue. I'm taking care of that. Thank you.
Okay, guys, we take a resilient supply chain. We say this is resilient, this is less resilient, this is more resilient. So if I talk of a supply chain management, certainly this is the lowest one for us. How well is your business? If you have let's take two companies around. One company can predict what is going to happen. Predict what are the weather conditions, but it can predict what is happening in the, let's say I'm buying, my parts are coming from China, parts are coming from Europe. And how is the situation there? So they can predict around the situations around. They can simulate those situations with computer system. And after simulation, they can say, guys, this is what is going to happen. Recover from unexpected things. In risk management, we were knowing everything around. If you look back in the good old days, we were doing risk management, not a new thing. But risk management, we had the probabilities, we have the past data. But now what is happening around is unpredicted. What happened COVID is unpredicted. What is happening in Ukraine was unpredicted to some extent. So these things are affecting us. So our relationship, geopolitical relationship, they are also affecting us. So disruptive events like the COVID-19 is how resilient supply chain is. Now global supply chain collapses have opened around, and then what has happened is profitability has gone down. If some company has lost profitability, that means their resilience is very poor. While the other one who is able to survive, I would say they are much better. So this is how we have around, when we look at the companies and we try to assess their resilient power, we have 29 parameters. So on each parameter, we try to analyze. Then we tell you guys, are you resilient or less resilient, more resilient? So all the things. The concept is very simple, but various factors play in supply chain. So when we talk of supply chain resilience, as I said to you, we have around 29 parameters on which basis we check it. But the building blocks of supply chain, we need the visibility. If my supply chain is not visible end to end, I have to call, let's say my goods are coming from New Jersey. going down to Kathmandu or Dhaka or is going to Kenya, Nigeria, whichever country they are going around, it might be going through the sea, it might be going through the air, it might be going through the trucks. I want to see the visibility end to end. Sitting in my place, whether through my dashboard, I should be able to see the visit. And if tomorrow my supplier customer says, guys, sorry, I don't need this, I should have flexibility to adjust it. Now, to do all this thing, we need a collaboration also. If today we are very divided, sales people are working on their own, my stakeholders, all stakeholders are divided. Stakeholders mean I'm taking inside stakeholders, outside stakeholders. Outside are my suppliers. I'm not in touch with suppliers. Supplier doesn't know what is happening around. Even as a buyer, I also don't know what is the supplier coming. Supplier might be depending on tier 2 supplier. Tier 2 might be supplying on tier 3. Tier 3 might be depending on raw material provider. So the copper is coming from Zambia. Somebody is converting the copper into wires. And somebody is making the cables. Then somebody is shipping them. I need a collaboration in the whole network, the whole ecosystem. So we need, if we want to talk about digitization, we're basically looking at, can I build my visibility? Can I have flexibility? And for flexibility, you need the data, you need analytics. And analytics means I need the data, sir. I need AI, I need machine learning. And last is collaboration. So those working culture, organization culture working in silo has to get out. So we have to collaborate. Now question comes, the next is how do we build the rest? So I've given you the broad headings there. First thing is identify the vulnerability. What can happen? What are redundancies? So some are vulnerabilities, some are redundants. So transparency is the first. Sustainability is another one. So sustainability, I'm looking from the angle of environment side. Pricing may be vulnerable. If my raw material is coming from X country and I know that country is under trouble, either there are strike or some prices are going up, particularly the fuel prices around, it affects the whole chain. Tech digitizing. My technology wise, whether I'm digitalized or not. If anything happens in the place of my supplier, I should have immediate reaction on my system. Not that I have to call the guy. It should be available on my desktop. So relying too much on a particular supplier. I know in the past, if I look back in the last 2 decades around, focus was all consolidate, give a bigger volume to one supplier to get a better deal. Yes, I understand that. But if that supplier is not able to deal with you now, they are closed down, geopolitical relations are bad, trade balance is the issue around, so then your whole thing gets affected. So in the past, what we learned to put all eggs into one basket, now we say, don't put all eggs into one basket. We learned the concept of JIT, just in time. So when it came to just in time, we were depending on one supplier. Now we're talking of just in case. If it happens, do we have a solution? Conduct risk assessment of key vulnerability. The vulnerability could be that I'm in a place where frequently flood comes, or drought comes. I need to do the risk assessment for that. Talk to your supplier network and agree on expectation metrics. So we have a supplier network, but we need to put down, we can't manage them until I put down what I'm expecting from. Expectation does not mean deliver me by this time. That's fine, but all parameters of delivery has to be spelled out. The metric has to be spelled out. Use buffer. Now this question has become, in the past we were told around that we should have inventory bare minimum, 2 hours inventory. I remember the Japan when I used to travel frequently. I'm talking of 80s beginning. They had 2 hours inventories, 3 hours inventories. because their infrastructure is totally different. There's a mother unit surrounded by all ancillaries. And all ancillaries, the mother units speak the same tone. Every information is available to them. So 2 hours, 3 hours, now saying, guys, who knows this may happen? So we need to have some safety stock. Now the question is, if I put the safety stock, my cost goes up. Other side is, if I don't keep safety stock and I lose my customer, I lose my business. So one has to balance the two things around. Distribute physical inventory across multiple locations. In the past, we were keeping all inventories at one place. So when the need comes, we all will shift from one place. The cost of transportation could be more. But if I can put them already in different places around, I can respond much quicker. And possibly on the transportation cost also I can cut down. Another thing which we have learned also, that in the past, we were only doing single source. We were saying, guys, rationalize your supplier. So now we are saying, guys, okay, that was a great idea, but now we're looking at multi-source. So I may have 2 suppliers or 3 suppliers, but I'm not putting all eggs in one basket. Now we're also looking around. World has a one hub of supply chain. Now people are saying, guys, we need to have many hubs around. One hub cannot. If something happened to that country, the whole delivery stops. Look around, even the US was, in the beginning, when problem happened, they were saying, okay, guys, we don't have a toilet paper. Europe was having a problem when this problem started with Ukraine, because the pulp of the wood was coming from Russia. So that means now people are looking around, guys, we need a nearshoring. So that means we need multiple supply chain hubs, multiple carriers. So ultimately the story behind this is supply chain resilience will be as good as your supplier relationship. So you need to have good suppliers, certainly, but not only one. You need to have backup. The relationship is also important now. So in the bad timing, possibly the relationship could bridge the gap around. The future proofing, if you want to take care, if anything happens, any disruption happens, 3 fundas are there. Automate, assist, all. So in robotic process automation, chatbot, I'm sure many companies are using around. Even we are using in our office. If you come down, you'll see you have a question, many of the questions can be answered.